All right. What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the Waterboy podcast. Today is episode 325, and we have the college football 2025 season preview. Not exactly the most thorough season preview. We're going to be doing that coming up here shortly in the next couple of weeks. But if you couldn't already tell, it is a one-off solo pod episode today. No Everett today. He is currently across the pond in Germany. I sent him out there on a scouting mission to go research some Bundesliga football. Over the past couple of years, Everett has slightly grown a bit annoyed with me whenever I address European football, primarily the Premier League. Everett, he has expressed his annoyance of me when it comes to these topics. So, but Everett wants to participate. Everett wants to contribute in these dialogues, these discussions regarding the world's game. And so we have financed a trip for Everett out to Germany, out to Deutschland to go research the game live in person. I didn't want him going to a Premier League game. I didn't want him going to England. I didn't want him to experience Brexit ball. I think that would turn him off of soccer for life if his introduction to the sport was watching the Premier League. So we sent him out to Germany. We want to get him in some exciting football matches. We want him watching 4-2, 4-3 games, 5-3 games. We want a lot of goals. We don't like defense. Nobody wants a clean sheet, okay? It's not like this is a pitcher's duel in baseball. Nobody wants that. We want goals. We want bangers. And the Bundesliga, that's where you go if you want to see goals. So we sent Everett out on a recon scouting mission. He will be back shortly, very soon. Should only be one-off episode, maybe a second one later this week. We'll see how swifty I feel while recording this. But as of right now, it's looking like just one personal Waterboy Grant episode this week, but a big college football season preview. Right now, what's kind of going around the college football media, we're recording this also Monday, August 4th. So as of today, Monday, August 4th, the biggest news this morning, of course, was the AP top 20, or not AP, the top 25 coaches poll being released. And instead of me like reacting to the poll, that doesn't sound very fun. I'm going to give you my top 10 rankings, preseason rankings of the teams upcoming. Now, while I'm doing this live and thinking out loud about it, I probably should have given you guys my playoff predictions just because that's just more entertaining. I don't see any playoff predictions out right now. I just see top 10s and reactions. So I probably should have given you guys a playoff prediction, but we didn't. But here's the top 10. Going from 1 to 10, I think everyone's got the same 1 and 2. 3 to 6, 3 to 7 should all be the same teams in different orders, but it's nothing too crazy at the top. At the back end, though, you guys are going to have to help me out. I am not sold on the 10th best team, but here we go. 1 to 10. Texas, Ohio State, Georgia, Clemson, Penn State, Notre Dame, Oregon, Alabama, LSU, and Miami. So a solid top 10, a lot of star power teams, all big name programs. We'll start there, but at least 1 and 2, Texas, Ohio State, I think a majority of different ranking lists are going to have these two teams at 1 and 2. The AP poll will certainly have them 1 and 2, just so they can have a 1 versus 2 week 1 matchup. But I would still, as the Ohio State fan of the room, I'd still have Texas over Ohio State because of the quarterback. That's the big question mark surrounding Ohio State, surrounding a lot of teams this year, not just the top 2, but at least with Arch, you feel more confident in him being a first-year starter. I know he started a handful of games last year. Quinn was hurt, came in for a ton of different package, different looks, especially like short yardage situations. So I know Arch has some experience, not a full year starting as some of the other guys, but you still feel more comfortable in Arch having the keys to the castle than you do with Julian Sayin. And we'll dive into that exactly on Ohio State. I'll have a little breakdown for you boys, but still have Texas just slightly over Ohio State because of that quarterback position. 3-7, these teams are all like neck and neck with each other, not much separation, but I still have it as Georgia, Clemson, Penn State, Notre Dame, then Oregon. Now Georgia, my number 3 team over Clemson, over Penn State. I know Carson Beck is gone, but according to the Twitter Warriors gurus out there, Carson Beck was atrocious. Now he was last year. He wasn't very good. 2 seasons ago, the Carson Beck I watched, I was like, that's a top 5 pick in the NFL draft. Clearly not. That's not what ended up happening. However, what Georgia still does have is a plethora of talent, deep talent. We're talking 3 deep, 4 deep at some positions. Georgia is just very deep. And under the next man up philosophy, Georgia can like actually use that method and not expect too far of a drop off when replacing a starter with an underclassman backup. They have so much talent loaded. They are so deep that they can get by some injuries and still be at the top. We kind of saw that last year, battling so many injuries and still being there at the end. But Georgia, they kind of get some benefit of the doubt at that 3 spot with Kirby. As the Ohio State fan in the room, I'm appalled when I see rankings, coach rankings with Ryan Day over Kirby Smart. It blows my mind. I love Ryan Day now. I didn't delete any of those videos. You can go look up what I thought of Ryan Day after Michigan last year. I'm a man. I won't delete them. But I do think it's kind of crazy. Ryan Day was ranked number 1 in some of these coach rankings. Like, if we're just talking programs, Ohio State is above Georgia as a program. In terms of you take X head coach, you place them at Georgia or Ohio State, it is easier to find success at Ohio State than Georgia. That is true. That is true. I think Georgia fans would like when I say that, because Kirby Smart has clearly had a much tougher job than Ryan Day at Ohio State. Kirby Smart turning Georgia into a national powerhouse, that didn't exist starting 2020 from when I was born in 2002. Okay, Kirby Smart has turned Georgia into a powerhouse. Ohio State has always been a powerhouse. Ryan Day has just extended that. But I think, though, Georgia, part of the reason why it makes sense why some people think they're a better program than Ohio State right now is because of the sustained recruiting dominance Kirby has done since taking over. I don't have this off the top of my head, but if you were to tell me Georgia has had a top 3 recruiting class every single year since Kirby Smart took over, that wouldn't shock me. That would like really check out with everything. But they just have a plethora of talent that you can't really go up against in many cases. Obviously, Georgia lost twice last year. They could still lose with talent, but they get the benefit of the doubt, both coaching wise and just talent recruiting accumulation wise. But I have Clemson 4, Penn State 5, Notre Dame 6, and I arguably want to throw Clemson up over Georgia or even Penn State. But what I would say that has Georgia over a Clemson and a Penn State is that depth. If Georgia were to lose a key starter, their replacement will do a much better. They're not going to fully replace the production that the starter had. They're not. So, but the replacement player will perform more or perform better than the backup on Penn State or Notre Dame. They will. But if we're just talking starters, like almost like it's like college basketball when I'm doing March Madness, and I'm primarily looking at the 5 starters on the court the last 10 minutes, kind of in that same fashion, just the pure starters. Like if we were to turn off injuries, we're playing Dynasty now, guys. We turn off injuries, I may have Clemson and Penn State over Georgia. If I can confirm their guys will not be hurt and are healthy, I think I might like Clemson and Penn State starters over Georgia. However, no team goes through an entire season healthy. No football team can do that. You are going to have guys get hurt. It just comes down to which team is less banged up at the end. But if we were to turn off injuries, I think I may have Clemson and Penn State over Georgia, but it's that depth that I'm concerned about with them too. But Clemson, I'm really high on both Clemson and Penn State. We'll start with Clemson. A lot of people are going to be talking about this D line that Clemson has, and it is elite. TJ Parker, Peter Woods. I think a ton of people are going to be focusing on TJ Parker and the impact he has off the edge. He's going to be making more flashy plays. He's going to be ending drives, having third down sacks, force fumbles. He's going to catch your eye more, and he will make more plays where he is making the tackle. However, I think Peter Woods is just the definition of a game record defensive tackle. I wouldn't say not like generational talent, because like there's only like one Aaron Donald and like one Chris Jones, but the impact Peter Woods has primarily in the run game is unreal. Peter Woods is just he's a game wrecker. He ruins blocking schemes by himself. He makes offensive coordinators second guess every single run that they do. It's the impact he has in the middle. Not many college football teams have like a true game changer 3 tech or just D tackle like that. I'm thinking last year, Michigan, Mason Graham, Kenneth Grant. Everybody saw what happened in that Ohio State game. They are sitting in 2 high safety looks the entire game, baiting Ohio State to run it up the middle. And guess what? Ohio State keeps running it up the middle, and Kenneth Grant and Mason Graham are single-handedly destroying plays, beating double team blocks that they shouldn't, and just allowing Michigan to be in pass coverage defenses and still defend the run at an elite level. And Peter Woods might provide that to Clemson. I will say, as a former Clemson traumatized man, I was very in touch with Clemson's defense back when Venables was there, and the amount of pre-snap shifting among the safeties and the linebackers, the different looks, the disguises that he brings. I'm not exactly sure how Clemson is operating under that now with their new DC. But having Peter Woods, TJ Parker, having a ridiculous defensive line, that makes everything else easier. It makes everything else easier, and they're just both game wreckers. Also, Cade Klubnik, like what I thought of Cade Klubnik 2 years ago is what people think of Carson Beck now. Okay. And what I thought of Carson Beck 2 years ago is kind of what people think of Klubnik now. Cade Klubnik, the leaps he took last season compared to 2 years ago was unreal. Cade Klubnik is a very, very good quarterback. 5-star out of Westlake for a reason, absolute baller. But Clemson, what made those national championship teams elite, in my opinion, were those defensive line plays. They, of course, had elite quarterbacks. Deshaun Watson, Trevor Lawrence, don't get me wrong. The elite quarterback play, elite wide receiver play too. T. Higgins, Justin Ross. But Clemson now, they seem like more of a complete football team than in the past couple of seasons that we've seen under Dabo. And kind of that sour taste you have in your mouth post T-Law under Dabo, how Clemson has been, him like not going to the portal and stuff. But I think Clemson this year is certainly the team to beat in the ACC, but one step further, they could really, really make a push in the national championship. But that's Clemson. And then Penn State, they're running the Ohio State playbook last year, return a bunch of upperclassmen, seniors who were draft eligible, up that NIL, bring them back to Happy Valley. They're doing the Ohio State method. And the one thing, though, at Penn State, I know it's an unfair argument because Ryan Day was in the exact same boat a year ago right now. But until these coaches win the big game, they're losers and they're jokes. Until they do it, they're an absolute disgrace, embarrassment. James Franklin is kind of in that category right now, where he needs to win the big game, or else he's a loser. But I think James Franklin, Penn State, just you cannot deny the talent on that team. On defense, they're returning a ton, but also just on offense, of course. Aller is back. Both the backs are back, Allen and Singleton. I know Warren is gone. He took up a lot of that passing attack last year, but at least Penn State's not rolling out Julian Fleming. At least they can have some real wide receivers this season. And this is like the first year where Drew Aller kind of has a team around him. Hey, Ohio State fan, I got to play Penn State every year. Not looking past that game at all. Like that is once again going to be a big time game, likely deciding Big Ten Conference Championship outcomes. But I got Penn State at 5. This is the best team under James Franklin. Ooh, it might not be. So the 2018 Penn State team was actually really damn good. Okay, a really good team under James compared to the competition. Probably the best preseason where what you could ask for as a Penn State fan. Okay, we'll say that. Next up, Oregon, Alabama. Oregon, they're kind of at that 7 spot. Once again, like a little benefit of the doubt thing. Dan Lanning. Okay, Dan Lanning hasn't he beat Ohio State by 1 at home. So he's won the big one. Dan Lanning, though, it's the recruiting that he has just absolutely done. This past cycle, what Oregon's done. Oh my God. The amount of Hayes Fawcett's tweets are I'm sitting there. Blank 5 stars committed to Oregon over Ohio State, Texas, and Alabama and USC. It was like twice a week I'd get a tweet saying that. So I know that they've been destroying the recruiting trail. We'll see, though, Dante Moore, once again, another first-time starter. Of the teams I just mentioned, I believe Texas, Ohio State, Georgia, Notre Dame, and Oregon will all have first-time starters. 5 of the last 7 teams. Just technically, yeah, Clemson, Penn State, only teams with returning starters. But yeah, it's kind of the year of the unproven quarterback. The year of we're going to see a lot of players making names for themselves overnight, despite you not hearing much of them in the past because they haven't been able to play. But yeah, Oregon there, Alabama at 8, a big benefit of the doubt. Big benefit of the doubt thing. We'll get into in a sec with the blue chip ratio, but Alabama and Ohio State, they're tied with the most amount of 4-star, 5-star prospects in the country. And because of that, Alabama, although there are question marks around a quarterback, question marks around DeBoer, fair, very fair. What you can't deny, though, is the talent that Alabama still has. I know Saban left. I know Caleb Downs left. I know Julian Sain left. I know they had a ton of guys leave. They have a ton of 5 stars and 4 stars still there, though. Yeah, so, I mean, Alabama, talent-wise, that's not the question. It's quite literally just comes down to Kalen DeBoer. Kind of. And the quarterback play matters a lot. Don't get me wrong. But at least from a defensive perspective, you could expect some improvements, especially out of the Bama secondary. A lot of returning starters last year kind of not proven, and that secondary should have some more experience in the secondary this year. But last up, LSU and Miami. LSU, I'm pretty comfortable with at 9. Nussmeier, returning star for LSU. He might be like the only returning starter on like a notable team. Lagway. Sorry, my bad, guys. Lagway. But I think LSU, the question's going to be defense for me. I think their offense is going to be electric, like that passing attack. Oh, goodness. At this point, other than Ohio State, LSU, you can essentially confirm they're going to have just NFL studs at wide receiver, game changers at receiver, and they do still. But my question on LSU is that defense. How is that going to hold up? And then Miami's at 10. I don't feel sold on this one. I can easily be swayed someone else at this 10 spot. Actually, we're going to open this one up to the Waterboy faithful. Comment down below who should be the 10th team. I don't think it's Miami. I think there's only 9 top 10 teams in the country this year. There's not a 10th best team. The 10th best team is like tied for 11th. That's the top 10. But we're going to take it one step further. Blue chip ratio. College football is an unfair sport. It is an unfair sport which has been masqueraded, big time word. It has been disguised to give the smaller man a chance at winning. That like couldn't be more from the truth today. This past season just confirmed what I've been saying for years. I hate to take victory laps. That's not what this podcast is about. We are Waterboys with Waterboy takes. However, what expanding the playoff does, it just not confirm Alabama didn't make it. It allows the top tier teams, it gives them multiple lives. Okay. You give them second chances in a sport that used to not allow second chances. It used to be a sport about perfection, about being perfect. Now it is not that anymore. I will say, though, it's ironic that we held college football teams with 18 to 22-year-old kids to the standard of being perfect. And if you lose one game, your season's over and you're eliminated from BCS national championship. It's ridiculous that for college football players, you hold them to that standard. And in the NFL, a majority of Super Bowl teams, winning teams, have 3 to 5 losses on the season, most of them. But in college, you lose one game, you are a bum and you should be left on the tarmac. That's just how this works. But blue chip ratio, these are the 18 teams who, according to the blue chip ratio, meet the threshold to win a national championship. And if you're not aware of the blue chip ratio and what that means, pretty much what it is a criteria threshold checklist that determines if you have the talent on your roster to win a national championship. The threshold for this blue chip ratio is a 50% or higher than 50% blue chip ratio, meaning over half of your scholarship players are 4 and 5 star prospects, blue chip prospects, and under 50% are 3 to 1 star non blue chip prospects. So these are the 18 teams that have over 50% of their roster being 4 and 5 stars. This is listed in percentage of your blue chip ratio. So if I say you first, you have one of the higher blue chip ratios in the country. Here we go for this upcoming season. Alabama and Ohio State tied. Georgia, Texas A&M, Oregon and Texas tied. LSU and Notre Dame tied. Oklahoma, Penn State, Miami, Florida, and Auburn all tied. Michigan and USC tied. Clemson, and then Tennessee and Florida State tied. Now, let's take that one step further, though. Blue chip ratio is cool and all, but these are the list of teams that could actually win the national championship of the blue chip ratio teams, because not all 18 of them actually have a chance at winning the national championship, specifically like Florida State, for example. No, you're not after 2-10. You're not winning the national championship after 2-10. You aren't. So these are teams who actually can win the Natty. And once again, just in order of your blue chip ratio percentage, not who I think odds best to win it, but Alabama, Ohio State, Georgia, Oregon, Texas, Notre Dame, Penn State, Clemson. Those are the teams that actually could win the national championship. And, this is what I'll say. A big key about the blue chip ratio is you do not need to have this 50% threshold to make the college football playoff. That's not what this is for. Also, once again, I would highly discourage using the blue chip ratio to guide your bets. The blue chip Saturdays in college football, the results on the field, they do not care about point spreads. They do not care about these blue chip ratios. So do not use this to predict games. No. This is just, these are the 18 teams that could win a national championship based on blue chip. These are it. These are the 18. But of those 18, these are the 8 that I just mentioned who actually have a chance. Like, let's just be realistic and think about it for a second. We're not sitting here saying Oklahoma is going to win it. We're not saying USC is going to win a national championship this year. Tennessee, with the whole Nico situation, hey, shout out Tennessee, shout out Heupel for, laying the law down, sticking his foot in the mud and showing who's boss. However, the new quarterback, was it Vicina, Christopher Vicina? Oh, goodness me. Actually, it's not Vicina. That is not their Tennessee. The point stands, though, that the Tennessee quarterback, it is going to be a drop off. But blue chip, those are teams that actually have a shot. This is not a fair sport, folks. It's not a fair sport. For you to win 3 straight playoff games against other top 11 teams in the country, you're gonna need to have a pretty solid blue chip ratio. And I just don't think the other teams could win 3 straight That's very tough to do against the top teams. Winning 3 straight, that is not easy. But yeah, that was the blue chip ratio breakdown, teams that could actually win the national championship. Now moving on, the Ohio State season break. Actually, before we get to that, just a general point thought of upcoming college football season. I know I brought it up earlier, but I'll harp on it again. The year of the true sophomore and the year of the first time starting quarterback. Going to be a lot of new names this year. A lot of guys making names for themselves, especially at the quarterback position of those teams. I have my top 10: Texas, Ohio State, Georgia, Notre Dame, Oregon, Alabama, Miami. Yeah, all have new starting quarterbacks in a sport where starting quarterback is at the utmost of importance for your team's success. So we're going to see a lot of new time starters, a lot of fresh looks when it comes to college football. And that's very exciting. It's very exciting to get new faces in there, new faces seeing what's up, what's going on. But it is the year of the new quarterback, also the year of the true sophomore. Everybody knows Jeremiah Smith, Ryan Williams. A lot of people are talking about them, and for very good reason. They are unreal, don't get me wrong. But some other names I'm really excited for on the defensive side of the ball. I've talked about Dylan Stewart a lot on here, so not going to spend much more time. But another name that I am very excited for this upcoming season, and I have to face him right away to start the season, week 1, Colin Simmons, edge out of Texas. I think him and Dylan Stewart, them two are going to be in the NFL draft 2027. We'll see how the quarterbacks shake out. I don't exactly know where they're going to go, but whoever gets them, you get game changers, game wreckers, guys that just destroy offensive plays by themselves. And I expect them to make some big leaps this upcoming season. I think when it just comes to college football, now, a handful of these, I don't know exactly for the 4 of them, if they were early enrollees going into their true freshman year or not. But this is a full off season under their belt, a full off season with their respective training rooms, training facilities, getting bigger and like developing a college football NFL like body and build. Like a Jeremiah Smith or a Ryan Williams skill positions, you can kind of get away with just pure speed and freakish, just natural talent when you're an underclassmen. You can kind of get away with it just because those positions, if it's really technique based and talent skill based, hey, sometimes you either have it or you don't. Like, you're not going to teach your wide receiver how to shave off 0.2 seconds on the 40 time. He either runs a 4.4 or he doesn't. So, like, from that sense, there's only so much you can improve athletically, skill wise year to year as a skill guy. But for the defensive linemen, edges, a full year at the South Carolina, Texas weight training program. Yeah, no. They are on their ways to becoming Greek gods when it comes to their body type. I'm talking the classic 6'5", 260, runs a 4.3 and has 0.01% body fat. I'm talking those freaks. I'm talking the Micah Parsons of the world. Okay. And them two, Dylan Stewart, Colin Simmons, I think are most likely to be those guys. I'm really excited for Colin Simmons and the potential major step up that he could take this season. A lot of people are going to be raving about him too, but those two edge rushers, just as an O-line guy myself, I'm raving over them too. And then lastly, real quick, Ohio State season breakdown. The player I am most excited for this upcoming season, kind of expecting him to be a starter, expecting him to play a large role this upcoming season, is true freshman corner Devin Sanchez. I've been hearing a ton out of Devin Sanchez at camp. Now, DB is one of the most loaded rooms at Ohio State. If we're just talking from a depth point of view and the amount of guys there, DB room is, with wide receiver, are the two most loaded, cornerback room specifically. two most loaded rooms at Ohio State if you're looking at depth and the backups available. Despite that, despite Aaron Scott, despite Bryce West, despite Iggy coming back, even though, Iggy, it's its own thing. I think really Devin Sanchez, I could see him starting very quickly and making a mark for himself. Hopefully that's a 3-year starter like Jeremiah for Ohio State. We'll see, but also just the key for Ohio State to win the national championship, folks. Don't overthink it. A lot of people might be thinking defensive tackles. I mean, Edric, interior. The key to us winning is quarterback. Whoever that is, Sayin, Keen Holes, maybe even Tavian, whoever that quarterback is, they are the key to Ohio State to win a national championship. They need to be that final glue to the offense to get them humming. We kind of saw a Honda McCord Ohio State passing offense. And, they'd still be solid, still be putting up a lot of yards, just force feeding Marv. But it's not quite the same precision and efficiency that you would hope for or what you'd expect just out of an Ohio State offense, especially with this wide receiver room this upcoming year. The guys they got at wide receiver, it is absolutely unreal. Just so much talent. So much talent at the wide receiver room for Ohio State. So Julian Sayin, I'm expected to be him. It really comes down to him and just my thoughts on the Ohio State quarterback battle, because it is a battle. Whoever's the best guy should start. If Lincoln Keenholz is just that much more consistent than Sayin throughout all of camp, and more so if the starters, the entire team, Jeremiah Smith, the wide receivers include, but just if the entire team likes Lincoln more than Sayin, we're going with Lincoln as the starting quarterback. I don't care about stars if Lincoln is that much better. However, I will say this. Knowing how much we invested to go get Sayin, go into the portal, go get him from Alabama when Saban leaves, number one quarterback in his class 5-star. Knowing how much we invested to go get Sayin, I'd kind of be surprised if he didn't start. I'd kind of be surprised if he didn't. I'm not saying it's a guarantee, but I'd be surprised if they went with Lincoln over Sayin. But I'll say this, if the separation's marginal between the two, Lincoln's just looking to, just slightly better than Sayin throughout camp. I would want Sayin to start off of the thought of a max ceiling version of an Ohio State offense for this season. What could happen? Like we've learned from last season, losing to Oregon, losing to Michigan, like Ohio State, we can lose multiple games and the playoff hopes are still alive. Like we can lose and the season's still on. So because of that, it might be okay kicking the guy as the starting quarterback week one, who he might not be the best right now today, week one, but in week 7, week 8, week 9, come playoff time, you think that quarterback, Julian Sayin, is going to be ahead or much better than Lincoln Keenholz from a ceiling potential growth point of view throughout the season. Let's go with the higher potential guy. If that higher potential guy is Lincoln, then let's go with him. But whoever that is, let's go with him. Let's give him the shot, because we can have hiccups early on in the year. We can lose some early games, and guess what? We're still in the playoff run. So because of that, I'm thinking upside primarily at this quarterback position. But if Lincoln is that much further ahead than Sayin, you better start Lincoln. You better start Lincoln if he's that much better. I don't think he is. It's not hearing like he's that much better. It sounds like he is more consistent than Sayin today. And if it's a marginal lead, let's go with Sayin off the thought of potential, what they could be week 8, what they could be week 10. Let's go with the higher potential guy. Remember, we are Ohio State. This is Ohio State. This isn't a training camp, day camp. Well, this is training camp. This isn't a daycare. Okay, that's what I was trying to say. All right, not a daycare. This is real man ball right here at the OHIO. But yeah, that's the Ohio State season breakdown. But last up, we're going to wrap it up here. Dodger trade deadline reaction. First things first, I think it's very reasonable and understandable that we're not going all out this deadline. We are already seeing are nine-figure players decline on back halves of their contracts. Unfortunately, we're already seeing it. I didn't think we'd see this for like another season or two, but unfortunately, we're already seeing it. Now, Freddie's looked really good past couple of weeks. Mookie Betts is back, though, guys. Unfortunately, he is back. And we're already seeing decline. We're already seeing a bunch of big name starters that we have acquired miss significant time, have injuries, not be worth that value. And I think we are slightly traumatized by some recent moves we made. Looking at Tanner Scott, Glasnow, Snell, some of these bigger name, even Teo this season, just the bigger name moves, bigger name investments we've made, and they have not paid off. And hey, that's not to say be afraid in the future. And just because it didn't work out one time, or in this case, it didn't work out multiple times, that you should stop trying and punt. I'm not saying that exactly. However, I think it's very reasonable to take it with a grain of salt and understanding the position we're in. I was saying this before the season, but it makes a lot of sense. The Dodgers, we don't need the Stars to win the division. We got a 3.5 game lead right now over San Diego, which, hey, we'd all like it to be more, I know, but we don't necessarily need our studs to have ridiculous seasons coming in first in the division, or just first in the entire league in general, the whole National League. Like we don't need the Stars to do it. We can roll out some minor leaguers at the back half of the lineup and still finish in first place in the NL. So I think it's okay being cautiously optimistic. Also, we've already seen some decline out of Mookie, Freddie, who are in their 30s. We have 7, 8, 9 guys who are on 9-figure contracts right now, and over half of them either miss half the season or they're just washed at baseball. So, like, in order to sustain success forget the next 2 seasons, I'm talking 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 years from now, let's not add another Bobby Bonilla day. Okay, we're already going to have Shohei Ohtani, Yoshinobu Yamamoto, Mookie Betts, Freddie Freeman, Teoscar Hernandez. We're already going to have 5 days like Bobby Bonilla when it comes to paying guys that are retired. Let's not add a 6th, 7th, and 8th guy to those days. Maybe I'm the crazy one, but I would prefer to not be paying an entire starting lineup of former retired players Bobby Bonilla Day contracts. I'd prefer to not be doing that. Just at the thought of, I don't know if Guggenheim's going to be owning this team in 2040. The next owners, they may not be willing to invest this much money in our beloved Dodgers, guys. So I am okay not going all out. Also, if you just look at some prospects we've given up recently, like we traded O'Neal Cruz for Tony Watson. Okay, I'll get to that one second, because I that one's quite literally maybe the funniest trade we've ever done, other than Pedro to Montreal. But first, we traded Jordan for Josh Fields. Josh Fields was a solid reliever that year, 2016, I want to say. But and also, we weren't aware of universal DH. At that time, there wasn't a place for Jordan on the team because he was already a DH. So I understand there's many factors. However, we gave up a generational talent hitter in Jordan, and then we also traded O'Neal Cruz for Tony Watson. That is objectively hilarious. O'Neal Cruz for Tony Watson. There's nothing you could really say about that. That is objectively a ridiculous trade that was ever even accepted by either party involved. But we have been kind of scorned some trades. And also, you look at some other ones. You look at Connor Wong, Jeter Downs, and Verdugo for Mookie. You look at the guys we gave up for Trey and Scherzer. I don't even know. Oh, Josiah, K-Bert, one other for them too. And we just absolutely destroyed both of those trades. So it goes both ways. But I just think like this year, our guys are all hurt. Like we have the players, we have the talent. We were just talking about in college football. We have the talent. We meet that blue chip ratio, folks. The Dodgers do. We're very high up on the blue chip ratio, believe it or not. But we're still going to compete this year, even though, hey, I'm not expecting to win a playoff series right now. How it looks, I'm not going to expect that. But I think it's okay. Like we're calling it punting on the seat. We're first in the division. We're calling it punting on the seat. We're first in the division. It's not we're not punting on the season. But I think it's okay to quote punt on the season so we don't ruin next year and the year after and 2027 and 28 and 29. You know, let's have a team for those years too. Keep hope. Keep him. Oh my God, I'm forgetting my other boy. Keep DePaula. Keep our outfielders there. Let's have them two in Pajes 2029, slugging it in the outfield. Come on. Let's do it. Let's keep Freeland here. Let's have Freeland out at third. So somebody else going to get called in middle infield. I don't know who's still there with us. Kendall George. No. Maybe Freeland moves inside. Munataka Murakami, you're my third baseman. Boom. We already. Oh, Heisung, you're still at second. Freeland go to short, and then first base is Kyle Stowers, trading for him, moving him to first. Yeah, boom. That's your lineup. Will Smith at catcher. He'll still be there. Ohtani DH. Boom. There's your lineup. But let's not acquire more long-term problems. We already have enough. We already have a handful of problems. Just at next off season addressing. We already have 5. Let's not increase that to 6, 7, 8. All right. 5 is already plenty of a headache. I don't want a larger headache, but that's going to wrap up the one-off Waterboy solo episode. I'm going to be very disappointed if this audio was muted the entire time. Hopefully it wasn't, but I'm going to try my best at memorizing this outro. Everett, judge me all you want on this. I'm going to try my best, but thank you guys so much for listening, watching. Rate us 5 stars on Spotify. You can check us out on all podcast platforms. Check us out YouTube, Twitter, TikTok, where we post exclusive content. So make sure you go and check that out. And like and subscribe. That's definitely in there. Follow below definitely says something like that. And without further ado, Waterboy's out.